I think too, there's an aspect of wisdom that I think I may have touched on it a little bit earlier. That in a certain sense, it provides somewhat of a why. This philosophy. It's the typical looking at skull why. It provides a why, a reason for doing what we're doing. Um, I think that's incredibly powerful. Like if you look at Viktor Frankl, um, and
Man Search for
he,
Meaning?
pardon me. Yeah,
Man
yeah, yes, yeah. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and he quotes Nietzsche, and he says Nietzsche says, "A man who has a why can bear almost any how," and I think that's incredibly powerful. Wisdom. Um, it gives us a reason to do things. It reminds us of why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it. Um, it gives us sort of principles. It reminds us of these principles for well-being, for overcoming challenges in our lives. So I think that wisdom and that why, even in some of the harshest conditions like Viktor Frankl had in these concentration camps, um, it can help preserve your happiness, and it can, even in those circumstances, it can help you live even in some of the most precarious situations. It can help you live a happy life. It can help you even thrive in these environments, insofar as that's possible. Uh, it can, the difference between the people that made it and that didn't. People that didn't make it through these concentration camps, a lot of the times he said that they had no reason to live anymore. He, thinking about people who their whole family is gone. They've been sort of exterminated, uh, and there's really nothing left for them. So yeah, I think the idea of wisdom really does provide philosophical wisdom, and just being able to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing, um, can really provide some sort of strength, and allow you to, again, not just survive but do well in life.
Yes, as you've aptly put it before, not just to survive, but to thrive, right?
Mhm.
And I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's very potent to be able to find meaning, even in the most dire circumstances. If you're a concentration camp uh, inmate, for example, it's very potent for survival purposes and for um, to be able to endure unavoidable suffering. And I think in some sense, uh, there's a meaning to everything. I don't think anything happens necessarily by accident, but there's kind of maybe a providence to everything. There's a why to everything. And things don't happen to us; they happen for us. And even though on the surface of it, it might seem like hell, like if you're in the concentration camp in Viktor Frankl's circumstances, or whether it's something just kind of more happenstance, like you forgot to take the garbage out on Tuesday night, and therefore you have a pile of garbage now that's going to be sitting around, in your garage for 2 weeks until you wait till the next garbage pickup. These things happen for us. So when we, for example, commit an error, we make a mistake, we slip up. That's the universe telling us that we need to get our shit together.
So this reminds me of Sartre. Uh, I believe it's Sartre. He has this quote. I can't remember which work it was in, but it says, we get the war we deserve. referring to World War II in the sense that there's some responsibility for whatever happens to you. Um, in that sense, nothing just happens to you. If there's that responsibility, you get the war you deserve. There means, it's something you're somehow still, as what we would call a victim, a participant in these things. Um, and there's a whole rabbit hole we could go down another time. But you talk about personal responsibility, things. People would say, oh, certain ideas of shaming people. Say someone has unwanted attention. Say at a club or a bar. You make a comment about, well, or some sort of unwanted interaction or something. Uh, it's important to maybe bring up, you can't control other people's actions, but what you can control is what situations you put yourself in. Like, you're going to a place where you can't control other people's actions, and people might have nefarious intentions or inappropriate intentions. And so maybe dressing a certain way, drinking to the point of blacking out or inebriation isn't a good position to put yourself in. Not that it's necessarily your fault that something bad happened, but that there is still a responsibility to keep yourself safe. It's like the idea of wearing your seatbelt. It might not be your fault that the accident happened, but you still have a or that an accident, but you still have a responsibility to wear your seatbelt to protect yourself and to make sure that your airbags are working or whatever it is. So that it's not you're not suffering, or you're not going through this instance, and it's so just so that it's not worse than it needs to be. It's okay to take risks in life, but you need to be prudent about the risks that you take and understand that you are taking those risks.
Right. Yeah, by virtue of us being human beings, this endows us with certain powers, certain degree of wisdom, as it were, and what this entails for us, pragmatically, is that we are morally responsible, that we have a locus of control for what goes on in our environments, that we can affect what happens. To some limited extent, we can choose how things will unfold. If I go to a club or a bar and I get inebriated, and then I get a bit rowdy and I instigate some kind of, quarrel with another inebriated individual at the bar, and this eventuates into some kind of stereotypical bar fight of throwing beer bottles and going at each other with chairs and so on and so forth. This would be the situation that we deserve, that we you reap what you sow. But what I reap in this case isn't something that I would like to avoid because of the obviously the destructive consequences of this event. So, in that sense, I think we have to be responsible actors in the world, and we have to use our locus of control in the most optimal manner. And maybe those things are manifesting, wisdom in the best sense of the word, and that maybe underscores what wisdom is for in a certain sense. That wisdom is for having harmonious social relationships with other people at the bar, so you can go to the bar and enjoy your drink and toast your glass to the person next to you and enjoy the night. Maybe enjoy some dancing on the dance floor afterwards, after you've loosened up a bit after a few drinks. And all this can be conducted civilly because, insofar as we cultivate theoretical and practical wisdom, we can embody that wisdom in that sense, in those practical situations.